Joshua and the Promised Land is a 2004 CG animated children's film written and directed and animated by Jim Lyon, a process that would take him 4 years. And this is one of those movies that you can tell based off the cover alone that it is objectively one of the worst films of all time on literally every level imaginable. Joshua and the Promised Land is an obscure film and its creator something even more obscure, with the only reason it is even known being due to the efforts of people like Saberspark and Technivision. In fact, Joshua is straight up unavailable on Amazon, and on eBay there are only 2 listings available. But what is this film about? Well, Joshua and the Promised Land is a film, using that term loosely here, that follows the titular Joshua, an anthropomorphic lion who, following witnessing an argument between his parents, decides to go to his room and sleep his depression and hunger away.
I thought you said you were cleaning out the den today.
Well, honey, I'm sorry. I've got other things I've got to do.
Right, like tinkering around with that car again.
Hey, come on! This is my day off, this is what I'm gonna do.
And this is no simple little argument about the dad caring more about working on his car than cleaning the den. The man almost slaps his wife like it was the Oscars. While Joshua is sleeping, a mysterious static purgatory lion by the name of Christopher Andrew Eugene Bojny floats in and wakes him up, saying he wants to take him someplace nice, and refuses to elaborate as to the location and who sent him, only implying he may or may not be a servant of God. And after agreeing to go with him because he's an easily manipulated child, Joshua is taken to biblical times, when the Jewish or Hebrew people, I'm not an expert on this stuff, were controlled by the Egyptians. From here Chris shows Josh around, they meet the local pope, see the presence of God, and Chris gives the most rapey advice I've ever heard.
Joshua, sometimes a no means maybe, I'll grant you that. But when it comes from God, a no means no. Capiche?
Following this creepy exchange, Josh possesses a local like he's Pazuzu, and sees Moses, who looks like a furry version of Quagmire. Here we see Moses part the sea in all its glory, and Joshua almost drowns, which would have ended the movie at just 10 minutes in. Roughly 1/5 of the runtime, but sadly, he lives so we have to stay for the remainder of the film. After everyone crosses the Red Sea, which surprisingly is accurate enough to contain hammerhead sharks, the presence of God leads the Egyptians into the sea where they stop walking like an Egyptian once Moses unparts the sea. Now free, they must make their way to the Promised Land, unfortunately. That means passing through the desert, which means being that they didn't have any time to bring food with them, the people soon grow hungry, and so Moses asks God for help, and God sends a flock of quails. And can I just say that Eugene's face here is a perfect summary of the audience's reaction thus far. After an interaction between Moses and Joshua, we see what the quails look like when they're cooked, and man, they look like my penis after being rough with Shrek. After eating the quail and Joshua pitching a tent next to old man Moses, God makes it rain cookies, which is every kid's dream and every diabetic's nightmare. Next, Moses strikes a rock to produce water, but as the people start to drink, Moses sees smoke in the distance, and thus prepares for war with the Egyptian army. Moments before the battle, we get a nice panning widespread shot of the armies, and Joshua giving the most inspirational speech of all time, a true poet.
All right, everybody! Let's beat these guys!
The battle that follows puts the Battle of the Five Armies to shame, with SpongeBob and Roblox sound effects being the icing on the cake. Interestingly, what allows them to win is Moses doing the praise the sun pose from Dark Souls, and after the battle, Joshua and the Jews return to camp, and God gives Moses the 10 Commandments. And after 40 days, Joshua and Moses climb down the mountain, only to discover the people have broken the commandments, and it is here that we get the most memed scene in the entire film.
There's a sound of war in the camp.
No, Joshua. It is not the sound of victory or of defeat that I hear. It is the sound of singing. No! No!
As punishment for breaking the rules, every offender must now drink the remains of the idol, which I'm sure led to many getting sick or dead. After receiving new tablets, the Jews build the Ark of the Covenant to hold the new tablets, and follow God's pillar of light to the promised land. Jumping ahead, Joshua now infiltrates Jericho and sees it is a den of sin and debauchery. Joshua then reports this to Moses, and here they plan their invasion. The people at this point are tired, losing faith yet again, and don't want to go to Jericho to wage war, and as punishment they must wander the desert for 40 years. Eventually, the 40 years pass and Moses climbs the mountain to gaze upon the land he can never enter. Joshua inherits Moses' position, and now he and the children of the damned carry the covenant to Jericho and siege the town by walking around it for 6 days. What follows is a humorously epic scene where a bunch of giant Christophers destroy Jericho with hammers like their Galager. Once the walls collapse, one of the bricks turns into a Snickers bar, which then turns into a floating lion head for some reason. Which I guess is an Attack on Titan reference. After this, Joshua finally returns home, and it's revealed it was all a dream, but the enemy followed him home, only to die soon after and turn back into a Snickers bar. But what's weird is it's never explained why the hell Chris showed Joshua these things. The film then ends on Joshua and his family eating the biggest struggle meal in existence, like even Non's food looks more appealing. Now, as I'm sure you've all noticed, the models, animation, voice acting, mic quality, sound effects, soundtrack, literally everything barring the story, and that's only to an extent and a technicality, is completely awful. Like seriously, I know this was a no-budget small team production, but there are films, games, and movies from the time period and even before that look light years better than this. The only positive I can think of is the story, and that's only because it's based off the Bible, and even then this incompetent movie handles it poorly. Apart from the previous issues, Joshua and the Promised Land feels pointless. It's hard to tell what the goal of the movie was, and because it's such an unknown film there's no real information for as to it was done to praise God, to improve his animation skills, or show off. The only tidbit we have is that Jim Lyon has admitted the film is shit and that he doesn't regret it as it gave him an opportunity to practice his animation skills. All in all, I'd have to say Joshua and the Promised Land is a 0.5 out of 10. And that'll be the video. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed it please be sure to follow me on social media.